In this video, you will see me react, as well as showing you references from Christian Prince on your screen.
Hello? Hello?
Hello,
Yes,
how are you?
I'm fine, my friend. Who's with me?
Oh, Muhammad.
How are you, Muhammad?
Oh,
So,
fine.
so what do you want to say to us, Muhammad? Why you are calling? Do you have something to say?
Well, I just want to elaborate on Surah Fatir that you're talking about.
I don't hear you, Muhammad. Can you speak louder, please?
I just wanted to elaborate what you're saying
About?
about Surah Fatir, verse 1.
Okay, go ahead.
God created the angels with 1, 2, or 3 pairs of wings. And the hadiths are saying that Prophet saw Gabriel. He had 600 wings. So here I can see that the Quran doesn't say that Allah created angels with only 1, 2, or 3 pair. Can be more than that. Yes, I just looked Ibn Kathir and he made the same argument that he's not talking about only, more than that wings can be created.
Okay, so
Just like
you want me to go to Ibn
comparing-
Kathir, my friend? You want me to go to Ibn Kathir?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Remember that the tafsir is made to defend Islam, not to explain Islam. You know that, right? If you remember, I have a debate with Dr. Rohi. He is an imam from Azhar. When I mentioned to him the tafsir, he said tafsir is made to fix a problem. To fix a problem. Okay. Okay. Read with me, please. This is Ibn Kathir, and this is the correct translation. Okay. He says the angels, messengers with wings, 2 or 3 or 4. There's no pairs. This is a lie in the translation. Do you see it? There's no pairs. The word pairs in the English translation is a fabrication. All right. Read with me here carefully. All right.
Okay, yeah.
2 or 3, 2 or 3 or 3. Huh? Sorry.
In my translation is pair, but
my friend, I don't care for a translation. I speak Arabic, and if you have anyone who speak Arabic, it says mathna wa thuluth wa ruba'. There's no pairs, and here you will see this is Ibn Kathir saying, and 2 or 3 or 4 means among them some who have 2 wings, some have 3, and some have 4. Do you see it?
Yeah.
This is Ibn Kathir. So here it's obviously it's a mistake.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a mistake. If the angels have only either 2 wings or 3 or 4, and by the way, how an angel can have 3 wings?
Yeah, he can have.
How he can have 3 wings? Where is the third wing will be?
On the back, maybe.
In the back? The angel have 3 wings.
Not like the back or 2 hands.
Maybe the third wing is his beard.
Beard?
I don't know. You tell me. I'm trying to understand, my friend. It says the 3 wings. How the angel will have 3 wings? I mean, what? Even like doesn't make sense. How he will have 3 wings? What is that?
And have 3 wings, then how can Gabriel have 600?
You see, that's a question. Okay, so how Muhammad he saw 600 if the Quran says, you see, when I start reading, it says they are pairs. So I went even with the pair. Let us say it's pairs as the Muslim fabricate, and you're a Muslim, they fabricate in their translation. If it's pair, that will be 1 pair, 2 pair, 2 pair and 3 pair and 4 pair. So maximum, even if it's pair, is going to be 8. But here, as you see, the word pair is not even exist. This is the Arabic as it is. So
the verse doesn't say only 1, 2, or 3. It just randomly says, just like in the Gospels.
you see,
Matthew
no,
says
you see here the Muslim,
disciples saw one angel
my friend, it says,
and
and Allah
two angels.
Allah he will make more. It's not about the angels don't have, you know, the Muslim, they try to explain the Muhammad saying 600, so they say, and some they have more wings, some no. You see, if let me ask you, what is the point of Allah saying the angels have 2 wings or 3 wings or 4 wings if there is angels have more? I mean, why you are saying 2 and 3? What the point if there is angels have 600? If there's angels have 1,000, what the point of saying to me? I mean, what you inform me right now? Nothing. What the point of this verse? Nothing. And do you think you know, like God, he say nothing? Meaningless? Because this verse now is meaningless, because he said to us angels have 2 and 3 and 4, and then the scholars, they try to cover up with the mistake in the Quran. They say, oh no, and it says and he will create more. He create more of angels. Doesn't say about he is going to increase the number of the wings. And by the way, why the wings will increase the number? What is the point? Is that will increase the speed?
Maybe kind of beautifulness.
See, you are laughing yourself. He himself is laughing. What I can do, my friend, doesn't make sense. If if God, he created the angel right away.
Gabriel is the leader of the angels.
So, so you are saying it's like the more wings he have, the more like he is powerful.
Leadership. Yeah, leadership.
It's like a rank, like a captain and general. And okay, I got it. My friend,
so this,
did you see the hadith? Did you see the hadith? The one that says that he saw. Does it say there that he covered the horizon?
Horizon? Where?
Let me zoom in for you so you can read it. It says he filled the horizon. Okay. The question is, if Jibreel came to Muhammad and he covered the horizon with 600 wings, how come nobody saw Jibreel in the horizon except Muhammad?
Maybe it was just a private mission.
This is a private horizon. This is a private horizon. This is a private beach.
So when Prophet went to Miraj, no one saw that.
But he came to him. He came to Mecca, my friend. He came to him into Mecca, right? He came to him in his house. He came and took him, supposedly. He came and took him, no problem. But he took him from where? He took him from his house, correct?
Yeah.
So imagine the president of America, Donald Trump, he stopped in the front of my house and he have like a 300 cars bodyguard with him, and nobody saw him, not even one of my neighbor except me. That doesn't make sense. So how an angel with that size?
You know, you Christians, Jews, Muslims believe in miracles, supernatural.
Oh, so you are saying this is a miracle that Allah, he don't want anyone to see the angel, right?
Yeah, no.
Okay. What about the donkey? He came. Why the angel? He came to Muhammad with the like the buraq, which is bigger than a donkey and smaller than mule. What is that for? Why he brought him that donkey, the white donkey?
White donkey? Maybe Prophet liked that or something.
No, you see, Muhammad, he went to where? Using that donkey. What destination he went to? Did he went to the sky?
First, maybe Jerusalem.
No, the Jerusalem in his way back, supposedly. First, he went to the sky, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Do this donkey have wings?
Donkey. I can't remember. Maybe or maybe not.
Okay, but you confirm that the angel have wings, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the angel have wings, the donkey does not have wings. Now how we can fly together to heaven with angel and donkey and Muhammad? Muhammad is in the top of the donkey cannot fly, the angel can fly. What do you think? What happened? Do you think the angel was carrying Muhammad in the top of his donkey?
Or maybe an angel appeared as donkey.
Ah, the
This type
angel
of
appear as donkey. That's a good idea. I like that, guys. It's maybe the angel himself appear as donkey. That is possible. You're fun. But, you know. Listen, my friend, is when the angel came to Muhammad, he have 600 wings, and you are telling me, as I understand from you, that he have the wings because that will make him very fast. Like there's ranks. He's very powerful. So like it's like 600 engines.
like
Leadership. Okay, so that will not change the speed.
Speed. No, speed.
Okay.
Nothing to do with speed, because wings have nothing to do with speed.
Ah, okay. So now, okay.
Do you believe that Angel Gabriel appeared to Virgin Mary with 600 wings?
No. No. It doesn't say that.
Maybe he appeared.
You see, my problem is not the 600 wings. The problem is the Quran says that the angels are going to be with two angels, two wings, 3 wings, and 4 wings.
Only one.
Huh?
Quran doesn't say that only 1, 2, or 3. It can be more. Quran only says simply 1, 2, or 3 in a summarization. So,
well, the Quran, why the Quran mentioned to me that the angels have 2 and 3 and 4, but yet the angels come to us. None of them have that.
Glorifying Allah. This verse is just glorifying Allah in many sense. Like he's talking about the heavens, the earth, then the angels. Then in the later he's talking about the human embryology.
Okay.
So this verse is basically talking about.
Yeah, but there is a mistake there. You see, there's a mistake. Let us go back here. The angel with Jibreel, so the angel Jibreel with Muhammad, and we have a donkey which is white. Was the heaven and earth, or it's in the sky, the heaven of Islam? Where Muhammad is going now?
Prophet saw the heavens.
Okay, when you say the heaven, where is that?
Everything.
Is that up in the sky, or this is in the earth?
I read something like above the throne of Allah there is a planet or something.
There's what?
Below that.
There's what upon the throne of Allah?
Star or something. I read.
Star.
I think you read.
Yeah, this is LED light.
So this out of the universe actually. Out of the Milky Way or something.
But this, okay, so the heaven is there. Okay, let me ask you. If the wings of the angels is not metaphorical, they are real wings. What the wings will do to the angel flying in the space if they are not metaphorical? You see, because I can show you, even the Christians, they believe that angels, they have wings, no problem. But is it something about wings they use really to fly with, or this is an appearance as a proof of identity or something, you know?
Like appearance or representative.
Okay, how Muhammad now? Let us focus on this. We have an angel have 600 wings. We have a donkey does not have wings. We have Muhammad, for sure he don't have wings, and they are going to the 7th heaven. Why Muhammad, when he came back, he did not tell us what he saw in the space? As an example, shouldn't Muhammad say, when I was in the space of flying with the donkey and the angel, I noticed that my shoes is flying in the space because there's no gravity? Shouldn't he say, I mean, imagine first time man, he go to the space, how much amazing the experience. Why Muhammad did not report to us any of this? What Muhammad report for us, my friend, hold on. What Muhammad report to us have nothing to do with the space. As an example, he arrived to a place and they knock at the door, and that was the 1st heaven. The ones before behind the door, they said, who is this? The angel Jibreel said, it is me, Jibreel. The angel, they said, who is with you? He said, this is Muhammad. The one behind the door, he says, was he cold? Jibreel said, yes, he been required to come. The angel, they said, he is welcome. What a pious prophet, welcome. And they opened the door. Now, is that really heaven? Did you watch any movie lately about kingdoms and old days, how they have a door for the gate and they have guards and they ask you, who is this? I mean, those are angels of God. They are asking Jibreel, who are you?
No, this story is totally explaining us that some type of judicial system, like in the day of judgment, there will be proper.
No. This is about his trip. This is about my friend. No. This is my friend. No. This is about a description how he went there. Don't tell me this is about the judgment day.
Yeah.
Okay, so
No.
yeah, so he went there and he found the gate, correct? And they knock at the door, and then they ask him, who is this? Who is with you? All right, okay. Now the story here reporting supposedly things happen as it is. It's not the metaphorical. Now if you say to me, you said to me, maybe Jibreel, he have 600 wings because he is high rank, right?
Yeah.
Okay, imagine, I don't know from which country you are. Let us say you're from Pakistan, and you're and the very famous man in Pakistan, he is the president. He is coming to your door, and you say to him, who are you? You know, I mean, isn't it weird that the angels could not recognize Jibreel, and they are asking him, who is he? Who are you? Read with me. I was brought a white beast, and he have to be white, he can't be black, because black are not allowed to enter the heaven, called al-buraq, bigger than a donkey and smaller than a mule. Its stride was as long as I could reach. Why is so big? This is the biggest limousine ever. Do you see how he just said it's bigger than a donkey and it's smaller than a mule, and then he said its stride was long as the eye could reach. Man, that's really a big step. I was mounted in it. So this is mean Jibreel, he carried Muhammad, he put him in the top of the donkey, and then we went forth till we reached the lowest heaven. Okay, he is now in the front of the lowest heaven. Jibreel said, for the gate to be open, open the door. And he was asked, who is he? He said, Jibreel. My friend,
maybe
if Jibreel is the highest, if Jibreel according to Islam is the highest angel, how his soldiers did not notice that this is Jibreel?
Maybe Gabriel appeared in a different form.
Maybe he appeared as a chicken this time. Maybe he appeared as a chicken. My friend, it says Jibreel. What different form?
No.
He came to him.
If you do not go with my interpretation, then this hadith doesn't make any sense, because Gabriel had to be like in another form. Otherwise, why didn't angels recognize him?
Okay, let me ask you, if I go right now and put some Halloween makeup on my face, the angels will not recognize me?
No.
See, so Jibreel is an angel.
Or maybe,
I mean, hold on, Muhammad, I like you. You're a nice guy. First of all, welcome, and I'm glad you called me. Listen, angel of God, he is not the same as you and me. Do you agree? He have a superpower.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, today we have a fingerprint, we have a face recognition software, and you walk in the airport, they know who you are. Just the camera is take your face right away. In a second, they get all the information about you. So, do you think angels, they will not be able to recognize that this is Jibreel? And who is the one can even get close to the door of heaven? I mean, is that like possible? Is that like is that like a door in a stop on the street and the bus? There's a bus next to it where people walk by. There's nobody go there. So what in the world this question is about? Jibreel is being questioned. Who are you? Do they have a visitor every day come in and asking open the door?
I got that answer. The answer is the door was closed actually.
The door was closed. We know the door was closed. That's why he was asking to open the door, my friend. You're not being smart now. Come on. He said to them, open the door. All right. They said, who is this? Okay, so you are saying if the door is closed, the angels cannot see through.
Yeah.
This is a bulletproof door, very thick, made from uranium, maybe. Yeah. So
you know another story that if you die, your soul goes to that door, and if you are not a Muslim, then your soul will be thrown into
no, my
the
friend,
fire.
all those stories are fabrication, because what soul will go to that door if you are going to be tortured in the grave? Your soul and your body is still there. Muslims don't believe that the soul will go somewhere. This is why two angels will come to you in the grave and they will ask you three questions.
Munkar Nakir will
Munkar wa Nakir, yes, Munkar wa Nakir. If we go to the story about Munkar wa Nakir, we will find another funny story coming from Muhammad. It's proving to us that he is a truly prophet. According to your prophet,
don't you believe in grave? I mean, punishment, grave punishment.
My friend, this is between me and you on YouTube and Facebook. You know, I did pay the two angels who will investigate me when I go to the grave, so they will ask me a nice questions. Let me tell you, I don't fear. Let us say the story Muhammad he said about two angels who they are black angels. Now, why they are black angels? Do you know why they are black?
Yeah, representing some fear.
No, because they are evil angels. They are made to be evil. They are not nice.
It's so terrifying, actually.
Okay, it says in front of you. Okay, here we go. The Messenger of Allah said, when a deceased, or he said, when one of you is buried, two angels, black and blue-eyed. That's a good competition. Okay, black and blue-eyed will come to him. One of them is called Al-Munkar and the other one is called Al-Nakir. They said, what do you use to say about this man? About what? About this man. What man? So he say, he was saying before death, he is Allah's slave and his messenger. I testify that there's none has a right to worship but Allah and Muhammad and his slave and his messenger. Okay, so now the other angel, he told him, this guy he used to say that Allah is God and Muhammad, he say Shahada. Okay, so now what will happen? We know that you would say this, and then this grave will expand to 70 by 70 cubit. Good news for my friend. Your grave will be really big. It's not like a small tiny grave. It's going to expand because you are a person who says Shahada. Then it's eliminated for him. My friend, you will have an LED light in your grave. Then it said to him, sleep. So he said, can I return to my family, brother? To inform them about what? That I got LED TV, LED light, I have a big grave. They say, no, you cannot go back. They say, sleep as you will, whom none awakens but the desert of his family, until Allah resurrect him, arrest him. Okay, this is for the Muslim. So the Muslim will have LED light in his grave, will have a big grave. Okay,
this hadith, the main point of this hadith that establish monotheism, like
okay, what monotheism? It's a fiction story. Hold on. Let us continue. And then Christians, hold on, Abdul, hold on. And he's then a guy who is not a Muslim, he come. Supposedly he's a hypocrite. Yeah. He would say, I heard people saying something, so I said same. They ask him the same question. What do you say about Allah, about Muhammad? I do not know. They say to him, we know that you said that. So the earth is told to constrict him. The earth will start pressing him. So it's constrict around him, squeezing his ribs together, and he continue being punished like that until Allah resurrection. Do you agree with this story?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have to.
But how you are dead and you are being punished now?
Your soul are being punished.
Huh? You are dead.
Your soul.
What soul? There is no soul. If you have a soul in you, my friend, if you have a soul, then you are not dead.
I'm dead physically, but my soul is eternal. My soul is not dead.
My friend, is your soul with you when you die, or the soul is not there?
When I die, it means that my earthly life is in an end. But
what?
My earthly life.
You are dead. Is your soul still inside your body or not?
Yeah.
Really?
Soul goes out, but
okay.
Then comes.
So
back
what the point? Have you ever heard? So now, if somebody is dead and I shoot him, he will feel pain.
No.
Okay, so why the story here is speaking about torturing a guy he is dead in the grave? Actually,
For
in different hadith, it says that the
you
angel will
for
hit
other
you. The angels will hit you on your head with the hammer. Is that correct?
yeah
Okay. Okay, the angels will hit you with by a hammer in your head, but as we know that you will not keep having your, I mean, you can open a grave of somebody from the time of the Pharaoh, and we will find that nothing happened to their body, and they are not Muslims. Why the angel did not break their head?
because maybe some exceptions.
Or maybe because they are rich.
No,
So why, okay, so why those people, their body is preserved and nobody is hitting their head?
About soul torturing, because many they do not have proper burial. They die in drowning or in burn. So
yeah, but the story of the angels,
actually,
if the angels hitting
story
you,
is actually talking about
my friend,
proper burial.
the story of the angels beating you with the hammer, is it a true story or it's a fiction?
Yeah, obviously, I have to believe this because these are Sahih hadiths, Sahih Bukhari, Siha Sitta. Every hadith comes from Siha Sitta. Muslims have to believe.
This is not the story. This is not the question, my friend. I'm asking you now. Is the story
Actually,
is the story
in
correct?
Islam theology, this story does make sense, but I believe I am a little bit skeptic about this type of thing. But uh, I am searching, but it's so embarrassing.
I understand. I'm asking you, is the story of beating you with the hammer, is it a true story? You believe in it? They will ask
No,
you three
we do not
questions.
prove actually
Huh?
beating angel. We do not have any proof like anyone is beaten in the grave.
But this is what the
Whether
hadith
he's
says.
dead.
This is what the hadith says. Right?
Oh, yeah, the hadith says.
Okay, so is your prophet lying?
No,
Okay,
it's
so
not lying.
let me find you the hadith in Arab, in English, so we can read together. I'm trying to find it in here, you know, because Muslims, they try to hide those funny hadith. Let's see if we can find it. All right, read with me, please. I hope the text is coming clear. The prophet
No,
said,
you know
hold on. When a human being is laid in his grave, and his companion return, and he even hears their footsteps. So now you are in the grave, but you can hear. Do you believe in that?
I was trying to tell this hadith that he can hear the footsteps.
Okay, you can hear. Okay, that's wonderful, guys. So you are dead. Muslims believe that you are dead, but you can hear. So guys, I have a news for you. I want you to tell your family to subscribe to the internet in your grave and keep my channel open, because you will be able to hear me.
So you have to believe in supernatural things.
My friend, it's not the problem now, but you confirm to us that you are in the grave and you can hear, no problem. So every one of you here, guys, please don't forget to take a modem to your grave and keep YouTube channel of Arabian Prophet open, because you will be able to attend my live broadcast even when you are dead. I will give you dead time subscription, lifetime dead subscription. I mean this is a lifetime dead subscription. That's wonderful. Okay, so he's dead and he can hear us. That's wonderful. Okay, now the prophet said when a human being laid in his grave and his companion return, he even hears their footsteps. Two angels will come to him. To what? Two angels will come to him. Okay, and make him sit and ask him. I mean, look at this. This is like FBI. Sit down. Please don't sit down. And what do you say? What do you use to say about this man? About who? Muhammad.
Yeah.
The whole investigation is about Muhammad. He will say, I testify that he is Allah's slave and he is apostle. Okay. Then the story continue. Then it will be said to him, look at your place in the hellfire. Allah has given you a place in paradise instead of it. If just because he said Allah Muhammad is apostle, that's amazing. The prophet added, then the dead person will see both his places. But a non-believer, okay, what will happen to non-believer? This is a Christian prince. Or a hypocrite, that is you, my friend, will say to the angels, I do not know, but I used to say that the people used to say. So don't tell me people, they said to me Muhammad is not a prophet. I mean, don't blame me. I used to say what people say. Christian prince, he said that to me. It's not my fault. So look what they will say to him. It will be said to him, neither did you know, nor did you take the guidance by reciting the Quran. Then he will be hit with an iron hammer between his ears.
No, these you can't doubt because these are irrelevant because Quran talks about Big Bang, so you have to believe all the books is eternal.
Hold on, let us focus on the Big Bang. What Big Bang? Listen, the angels will beat you with the hammer between your two ears.
Angels won't beat me.
What? They will beat you.
Angels won't. Why?
Okay, why?
I believe this.
But you are dead. How the angels will beat you and you are dead?
Allah will make you alive again.
So we are alive dead. So you believe in zombie? Are we dead?
Yeah.
Are we dead?
Matthew also believed in zombie because Matthew chapter 27 verse 51 maybe talks about when Jesus died on the cross. Many deadly saints.
Yeah, but those are not zombie. You see what you know what zombie is? Zombie people who they are dead and they are walking between us. What the Matthew speaking of? No. What Matthew speak? No. Hold on. What Matthew speaking about, that those people are brought back to life. They are alive and they go to heaven. They are not staying on earth. They are resurrected. So it's not about you being dead and walking between us. Those are alive. Those are alive again, my friend. Don't mix things up.
Okay.
Here you are dead in the grave. You are not. You cannot even walk. Can you walk? 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 But you can talk, but you cannot walk, right?
Okay. If you say that those saints were resurrected, then Paul was wrong because Paul said Jesus was the first fruit. Then there is a contradiction.
My friend, Jesus is the first in everything. When Jesus was resurrected, it says that all of them resurrected with him.
The first fruit of the resurrection.
My friend, when Jesus was resurrected, they are resurrected with him.
No. Saints were resurrected when Jesus died on the cross, not at the Easter Sunday.
My friend, which means by his death, we are all resurrected. Not only those people, all of us, we are promised resurrection. It's a new life.
They were resurrected.
My friend. Don't explain to me my Bible. Don't explain to me my Bible. You do not know my book. All of us. Listen. All the Christian believe, but by the death of Jesus, Abdul, listen. By the death of Jesus.
You can read that verse.
My friend, go read it. Go ahead. I'm listening. Go ahead. Okay, what verse you are reading? Go ahead.
Can I read?
Go ahead. What verse you are reading?
Matthew chapter 27. Look at my Bible.
Chapter what?
Chapter 27.
27. Go ahead.
At that moment, the curtain of the temple was torn into two from the top to bottom. The earth shook and the rocks split, and the tombs broke open. The bodies of many holy people who had died were raised to life. They came out of the tombs after Jesus' resurrection and went in the holy city and appeared to many people. You see this verse, when the curtain was torn into two. You see, when Jesus was on the cross, and the verse literally says that the holy saints, they were alive out of the graves. And no, you Jews make fun of this, like this should be the good news on the newspaper on first century.
My friend, those people, they are resurrected by what? By who? And how?
Before Jesus, obviously.
Before what? Before what? Before what?
Obviously, before the Easter Sunday, the Paul was talking about
by his death, when because of this occasion, there's many people they are resurrected. In the top of that, all those who they are resurrected, when he went in the Easter, or let us say in the Easter day, all of them, they went to the city and they were attended, and they've been proven themselves to be, which means there's many witnesses for those people who resurrected from death, including Jesus himself. Jesus, when he resurrected, he went to the city. He went to the city. My friend. It says, read with me carefully. You are just quoting what you like. In verse number 51, it says, and after Jesus, he resurrected, those bodies came from their grave. Does it say that? Does it say that? Does it say that? That when Jesus was resurrected, those bodies came from the graves. Okay, so what the problem with you have now?
My problem is verse 51 and 52, not 53. I did not talk about 53. My friend, you are saying the problem is 51 and 52? Yeah.
Okay, what is the problem?
You look in 51 that at that moment the curtain of the temple was
you see my friend, in order you see that the same, you see, it's not like a different chapter, is the same chapter explaining itself. So when hold on, when the Messiah was in the cross, there's an event happened, and the earth shake and rocks destroyed and etc., and graves were open, and many bodies of those who they die, they came alive, right? Okay,
right.
And then
53
and then it says, okay, yeah, they are alive, but they did not go out of the grave. If you see here in the verse number 53, it says, and after he hold on, and after he is resurrected, after he's resurrected, they came from the grave and they walked to prove themselves. So they are alive by the power of Jesus. But you see those people are alive. They are not zombie. They are not dead.
They were dead, obviously.
No, they were.
Who had
okay, you see. Okay, hold on. Okay, hold on. What we are talking about people who they are dead in the hadith and they are not alive, correct?
No, they are alive.
No, they are not. They are dead. They are dead. No, they are dead. They are dead. They are dead. Don't play games. The hadith is speaking about people who they are dead. My friend, here the verse you are quoting from me from Matthew, they are people who they are resurrected, which means they are alive. They are not dead no more. They are in the grave, but they are alive.
If they're resurrected, then there is a contradiction, because Paul clearly says Jesus Christ is the first fruit of the resurrection. But Matthew says,
my friend, because we hold on. Yes, this is metaphorical that Jesus is the first fruit, which means every resurrection is by him, because the Bible believes that everything is created by him and for him. So Jesus is the first of everything. I am the Alpha, I am the Omega, I am the first, I am the last. So which means there's no resurrection but by him.
Yeah, no, Paul is saying Jesus Christ is the first fruit because Jesus is the one who was the first in the resurrection place.
My friend, just to show you that you are ignorant, isn't it Jesus who resurrected people during his time when he was before the crucifixion? He did, right? He did.
Yeah,
so he resurrected people already from the grave, and it happened that people are resurrected from the grave already. So this is he's not being the first one to be resurrected in the whole world. No. He's saying he's the first who proved the power of God, that he can resurrect. He is the one.
First of those who have fallen asleep.
My friend, what were fallen asleep?
1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 20.
Yeah, read.
It says, but Christ has indeed been raised from the dead, the first fruits of those who have fallen asleep.
Yeah. Because this is the promise of you will be resurrected is by Christ. So by Christ, all of those they are going to be resurrected.
You're taking the story of Lazarus, Martha.
My friend, you see, you are the one who is playing games. I am the one who told you that isn't it Jesus who resurrect people from the grave before his crucifixion? Okay, so it's the same, my friend. Hold on. You see, you want to play game. You want to play game. Listen. The Bible is a book of metaphor, not only about dates and time. So every human being is resurrected by Jesus. Every human being. Nobody is not resurrected by Jesus. So the Bible confirmed that nobody.
Do you know the difference between resurrection and resuscitation in Christian theology?
Explain to me. Go ahead.
because in the Christian theology, you can ask any Christian apologist that the resurrection is by Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ was the first who was raised, and resuscitation means that those people Jesus raised from the dead, they died again. This is resuscitation because they cannot raise from before Jesus. This is a total contradiction of the
my friend.
theology.
No, this is not a contradiction. This is an opinion of some people. Whatever they want to say, they can say. But this is not.
You can
no.
Christian.
I don't care about asking. Why I want to ask, my friend? Why I want to ask? I don't know my belief. So the Bible is so clear. If the Bible says they are resurrected, they are resurrected. Unless the Bible says they die again. Do you have a verse that says they die again?
But
those people who they said that to you. Did they provide you with a verse saying that they die again?
They had to die again because unless this is a
no. Don't tell me I have to die again. No, this is not a contradiction. Okay, you see, you are playing games. This is not a contradiction. This is not a contradiction. This is not a contradiction. Those people who resurrected with Jesus, they are resurrected by Jesus still, because this is not about. Because you see, for us, when we speak about resurrection of Jesus, we are speaking about resurrection of the body. God never died. No Christian believe that God is dead. God is always alive. So the flesh of the man.
You believe that
hold on.
Died?
Yes, hold on. We don't believe. No, we believe that the flesh of Jesus died. Yes, but God never died.
Yeah.
Okay. So
yeah,
the body. Hold on. The body of the human died. They were able to kill the body.
Yeah, that's I'm trying to say that the bodies of human die in the Islamic theology and in the Christian theology. This is a mutual understanding.
Yeah, but you are mixing things up. You are mixing things up. You are mixing between here. We have a person in the grave. Hold on. In Christianity, we don't believe that a human being is in the grave and you can talk to him and you can question him and you can ask him questions and he can hear you. That is a lie. That is a lie. Hold on. Here, when they are torturing, when they are torturing the man with the hammer, are they torturing the man and his spirit with him, or the spirit is not there?
Spirit, no, spirit goes back to our
okay. So thank you very much. The resurrection of Christianity is resurrect, which means reunite the body with the spirit. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Here there's a body. Here there's a talking body. He's a dead. He have no spirit. That's why I said zombie. The Bible speak about resurrection of people who they are resurrected, which means they are unite with their spirit. It's not a dead body walking in the street and they are zombie. They are really alive like me and you, because we have the spirit united with the body. When your soul separated from your body, you are a dead body. Here we have a person in the grave. He have no soul within his body.
Yeah, he has soul.
Where you get this from? Where you get this from?
Obviously from the hadith, because he's told
okay, hold on. Okay, can you quote for me the hadith speaking about the soul?
Hadith doesn't explicitly say.
So where do you get this from? When you say something to me, you see, you have to prove it to me.
You can't punish a putrefied or decomposed body. The body is nothing.
My friend.
And you are only talking.
My friend. Hold on. When you say something to me, don't give me your mythology. Give me Islamic mythology, and don't give me Christian mythology, which you don't understand. Trying to explain by the way you want. I'm asking you now. Where you got the answer that the spirit of the man stay in his body when he's dead in Islam?
The spirit of the man goes back to God.
Okay, I just asked you a second ago. I just asked you. Is he this guy? Is he this guy? He is in the grave. Do he have a soul with him?
Yeah.
He have a soul with him. How? You just said it goes to God.
The spirit goes to God, not the soul.
So there's spirit and soul? What does that mean?
Spirit is from God.
My friend,
soul is.
What do you mean spirit from God? Where you learn this from?
So don't you believe body, soul, and history?
My friend, your soul is the spirit. What soul? There's no different. Soul, when we can make a difference if we're talking about something unique. As an example, we say the Holy Spirit, but we are talking about the soul of a human being. That is the only spirit he have, the spirit of life, which we call it soul. So I'm asking you now. Do human being have? Are you saying a human being he have soul and spirit in the same time?
Yeah, obviously.
Where you get this from? 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 Where you get this from?
Yeah, obviously from Islamic theology.
Where? When you say, my friend, when you say to me, you say to me, when you say to me, why you want to go into the Trinity? Look what we're talking about. Where in Islam it says that you have a spirit and you have a soul. You have two things, spirit and soul. Where it gets from?
From Islamic theology.
Where?
Let me answer. From Islamic theology, but taken from Kitabul Muqaddas.
Where? Don't tell me Islamic mythology taken from the Islamic mythology taken from the Christian, and the Christian they believe that you have a spirit and you have a soul in the same time. You have two?
Yeah, you Christians believe that.
Okay, show me where we get this from. That we have a spirit and we have a soul in the same time. They have two things.
If you do not believe that you have a spirit,
my friend, don't tell me if you don't believe that. Show me where, because you are saying things with no proof.
You would be called a heretic.
My friend, you see, you are the heretic. You are the one who is making things up. You are saying to me things you cannot prove. Can you prove? Can you prove to me? Can you prove to me that a human being he have a spirit and he have a soul? There are two things in him.
Can you prove to me human beings have a soul? Now, if I want to prove, because you can't prove supernatural things. Now, I can ask you return.
You see, let me show you how ignorant you are. When we speak about can you prove to me, I mean, can you show me from your books? It's not about you, me. I'm showing you a soul. Where in your book it teach that you have a spirit and you have a soul?
I told you that I can't now exactly.
Okay, you said, but you said from a Christian mythology. Okay, where in the Christian teaching that we have a spirit and we have a soul? We have two things, which mean now we have a three. We have a spirit, we have a soul, and we have a body. Can you show me?
What?
Huh?
Theology. No, it's obviously Christian theology. Now
you have to show it to me. Don't tell me it's a Christian theology. You have to show it to me. You have to show it to me. You cannot throw words in the space and you say this is how it is.
Okay. Listen. Okay. If you want like explicit term mentioned in the Bible that humans have body, soul, and spirit, I have to get this to this verse. Then you can make any type of claim like where is incarnation and where is Trinity.
Okay, let's go back. Let's go back. You see, you went in a circle to avoid speaking about your funny prophet making a fictional story.
Okay,
that two angels, they will beat you and they will torture you in the grave, but yet you are dead.
No, do you
believe and you could not explain, and you could not explain. No, you could not explain. Let me ask you, where Muhammad he learned? Let me ask you, where Muhammad he learned that you will be punished in the grave? From who?
From God.
Obviously. Where God he said that to him?
In front of this hadith.
Where?
You're seeing that. Your hadith, Muslims or Christian Jews, everyone will be punished. Now Hindus will be punished too, but they do not have any burial system. They burn their dead bodies. So
okay, let me ask you. What is the reason for you to be tortured based on this story?
What's the reason
to be tortured? Why you will be tortured in this story? Because you did not say Shahada, right?
Yeah.
Okay. How then Muhammad he say in different hadith that the angels will torture you because you piss on your skin?
Can torture you from for Shahada, for
no piss. You know what piss? He claimed that the angels will torture you because you piss. So which one is lying?
No, both are correct.
Huh? Read with me carefully.
You can have
read carefully with me, my friend. Read carefully with me. The Messenger of Allah said the most of torment of the grave is because of urine.
Oh, this is talking about kulub. You know kulub? What is kulub?
What is that? This is Arabic supposedly?
Yeah, you have to wash after urination.
Okay.
Private part.
So and the angels will torture you in the grave because you have some urine in your foot when you did a piss.
This is, yeah, this hadith is just elaborating, like avoiding this type.
So why the other one saying that they will torture you? So now we have many reasons for torture in the grave.
You have,
they will have a book with them. They will have a book with them. They will say to him, in the day of etc. you did piss, and you the piss he hit the urine hit your foot. So we will torture you now. Why?
Like you will be tortured for lying then.
No, here it says you will. He said, read with me carefully. The most of torment in the grave is because of urine. The most of it.
Yeah, most.
Okay.
So talking about
what is the logic? What is the logic? Why the angels? Why the angels will torture you just because you did piss?
Not just because this is a one type of grievous sin.
But it says the most. Give me the reason. The most of the torture in the grave is going to be, my friend. I am asking you, why? 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 What is the purpose of this storm? I mean, why? What the guy he did? He just pissed.
Okay, this piece ties to your salah and reciting the Quran. Because if you
okay, are you saying to me? Are you saying to me that this is a sin in Islam?
Yeah, obviously, because if you piss, you can't.
Why Allah? Okay, isn't it Allah? He made. Isn't it Allah? He made you. Isn't it Allah? He made you in a certain way. So if you piss, it might hit the ground and come back to you. Especially in the old days. What is the sin in that? Did Allah give you a penis like the mouth of an elephant so you can leak your piss far away from your body? You cannot.
You can wash this.
Okay, no, it doesn't say if you wash or not. Even if you wash it, even if you wash it, still they will torture you. Who said if you wash it, they will torture you?
No. If you have to wash it.
No, my friend, read with me. Read with me. Here we go. Muhammad he learned from the Jews, a Jewish woman. She said to him that if the urine touch our skin, we cut our skin. We don't wash it. We cut it.
Yeah.
So in order to get rid of it, you have to cut your skin.
Yeah.
So why you are saying to me we wash it?
Now you have to cut it, but after this, you have to also wash it because this is in.
Let me ask you, you Muslims, when a urine touch your skin, you cut your skin, you take it off?
No.
So why Muhammad adopting this idea?
Like this cutting thing, not adopting. This is taking from God.
What God? Where is God? He said to them, a Jewish woman, Muhammad is a thief. A Jewish woman, she said that idea to him, he liked it, he adopted. Otherwise, prove to me where Muhammad gets it from.
Maybe God sent that Jewish woman to our prophet.
Read with me carefully. Aisha, she report that Muhammad before that day, he never ever said anything about the punishment of the grave. Why?
Because this revelation did not come simultaneously. The revelation was coming like time by time, not simultaneously. So what type of question is this?
My friend, the story in front of you, it says because of a Jewish woman, she came to Aisha and she spoke about the grave punishment. Aisha, she never heard before. She accused her to be a liar. She said, no,
I told you.
She said to her, read with me. Aisha, why Aisha? She said to Muhammad, you are lying when she mentioned that. You are lying. So Aisha, obviously, she never heard Muhammad saying that. So why Muhammad never received this revelation until this Jewish woman? He just entered, he saw them in the yard. He asked Aisha, why you are screaming with this woman? She said to me this. He said, oh, okay, this is true. Where is when the revelation came?
I told you now that God maybe sent this Jewish woman. This is type.
So the revelation coming from the Jewish woman. You agree? So God is the one who sent this woman, and she is the one who gave the revelation to Muhammad. And look what it says here. After Muhammad have this conversation, it says Aisha, she said he never even pray once. After that day, he never offered any prayer without saying, You know, I seek refuge by Allah from the punishment of the grave. So Muhammad,
yeah, that's why I am talking about the peace connects with prayer, because if you peace, you can't pray. Your prayer won't be accepted. So this is the most torment.
Abdul, what does this have to do with the prayer? Listen carefully. After this Jewish woman, she mentioned that, and Muhammad, he agreed with her. Muhammad never pray without saying, I seek refuge by Allah from the punishment of the grave. Why Muhammad did not say that before the Jewish women spoke in his courtyard?
Because God sent the Jewish women.
So the Jewish women is Jibreel with the 600 wings.
Oh no.
Well, you are saying to me that the revelation came from this woman, not from Allah.
Yeah, from Allah, but Allah sent, because
okay.
you know in
so you are admitting that Muhammad he learned this revelation from the Jewish woman.
So obviously before Islam, Judaism was the only monotheistic religion before Islam.
This is not the question. This is not the question. You are saying to me, obviously Allah he sent this woman to bring Muhammad the revelation. So this woman, she is a female angel.
The Quran. You can't. You know that Jews and Christians have a part in revelation regarding our revelation in Surah Yunus 94, that Allah is saying, if you have doubt in your heart about this book, then ask those who read before.
And this is a contradiction, because the Christian refused Muhammad. So how you can ask them about Muhammad when they refuse him already?
He's talking about this revelation, this Quran.
Okay, my friend, let us focus here. Let's focus here. Allah he sent this woman according to you, and because of this woman, Muhammad he got the revelation. He got it from who? From the women or from the angel?
From Allah.
Where?
Through women.
How? Where? So
Allah,
guys, did you hear this? From Allah through this woman. From Allah,
yeah,
through this woman.
Why
so
not?
So the first one who received the first one who received this revelation, it was this woman.
Why not? You can see this in Christianity too.
Okay, hold on. Yeah, in Christianity, I know. Hold on, don't change topic. In Christianity, yes, it says that we can prophesy. God, he can use us, no problem. But here, this is the problem in Islam, because you Muslim, you claim that Muhammad, he was the only messenger in his time.
Yeah, only messenger. We do not say that Jewish woman was a messenger.
We do not what say what?
We do not say that Jewish woman was a messenger of God. We say
but she received revelation and she gave a message.
Why not? In Christianity too, you adopt things like in Jude. If you read the book of Jude, Jude quoted several apocryphal books that do not exist in this generation in the Bible.
So what does this have to do with our topic?
You have to throw out the book of Jude.
My friend, why you are changing topic? We throw whatever. This is a proof. Hold on. We refuse. This is mean that all of Islam is a lie, because if the Christian they accept any garbage, then why they will refuse bad books?
No, I do not believe that Christians accept any garbage. I'm saying that.
Okay, so I'm asking you now. I'm asking you where you got this explanation that your God Allah he sent this woman to bring revelation to Muhammad, and what that would make her? Angel? Will make her a messenger? What will make her?
You have to look at that Jewish women that has a simultaneous. You have a connection between Surah Yunus 94 and this verse. Obviously, that makes sense, because we believe that God can use anything. Like in Christianity too, if you reject this type of revelation, then you have to throw out the book of Jude.
My friend, hold on. What the book of Jude? What are you talking about? Look where we are, and look what his guy is talking about. What this have to do with what we are saying? How the women? Okay, so what is the job of Jibreel? What is the job in Christianity? We have women, they prophesy. We have women, they are judges. We have women, they save Israel. We have women. Hold on.
Okay, I know prophecy.
So now this woman here, she prophesy or she gave a message from Allah?
She gave a message from Allah.
Is that making her messenger? Because the one who gave a message, he's a messenger.
Yeah, obviously.
Okay, so now we have two messengers. We have Muhammad and this Jewish woman.
No. You know the word Mursaleen and the word Nabi. Nabi is explicitly.
My friend. Hold on. the one who says something nobody knows, he is a messenger and he's a hold on. If I say something God told me to you, hold on, don't talk, hold on, hold your horses. If I say something to you God told me, does that make me only a messenger or a prophet?
God told her revelation.
No problem, this is not a question. You see, always this is a problem. When I ask you a question, you talk about something else. When I say to you, God told me that the punishment of the grave, most of it is from the urine. Is that a message you know yourself already, or I just told you that?
No, you just told me.
Okay, is that told about the future, or this is about something will happen now? Is it about the unseen, or it's about something seen?
Unseen.
Okay, that will make her a prophet, my friend. She just told you. She just told you. She just told you something is unseen, unknown, unseen, unknown. That's mean you Muslims. You have two prophets. Hold on. That's mean you have two prophets, Muhammad and this woman.
You can misinterpret that because in our own Quran we have the two separate words, Mursalin and Navi. Mursalin can be used for apostle, Sahaba.
My friend, that is stupid of you to say, because Mursalin is no, Sahaba is not Mursalin. You are being a donkey now. Excuse me. A Mursalin is somebody is sent by God, not somebody sent by man.
Sent by God.
Okay.
Yeah, obviously sent by God.
To send by God to tell what? When God he sent somebody, give me an example about somebody he is a messenger but he is not a prophet.
Yeah. Like the Jewish woman.
This Jewish woman is a messenger, but she's not a prophet.
God used this Jewish woman.
My friend, give me an example. Give me an example about one person. He is a messenger, but he is not a prophet in Islam.
In Islam, I can take it from the Quran, where Ibrahim talks about two apostles of Jesus. They were Mursalin or messenger.
Okay, let us go there. Let us go there. What about those?
Yeah, you know the verse, Surah Ibrahim.
I know what verse. I know what verse. I know what verse. I'm saying, what about them? What make them only messenger, not a prophet?
Because the prophet, you have to carry that divine revelation, like Torah, the Holy Quran.
The prophet, they have to carry a revelation.
Yeah, obviously, a law, a revelation.
Okay, isn't it revelation? You are the one who just said to me that when the woman she said to your prophet, hold on, you are the one who said to me when this woman she said to your hold on, let me talk. We cannot talk in the same time. Let us talk in this. We cannot talk in the same time. Hold on, Abdul. Hold on, Abdul. Hold on. We cannot talk in the same time. So when this woman she gave your prophet the urine story, is that revelation? You said yes.
Yeah, but this is not a revelation in a book.
It is a revelation. You see, no, not in a book. Muhammad, he never received a book. Muhammad, did he receive a book?
Yeah.
Quran. Where? When? Where? When?
Qadr, Laylatul Qadr.
We did not give him a book. This is a joke. Where? Show me where it says he received a book. Muhammad, he received a book from his God?
Received, no, not simultaneous.
It doesn't matter. He did not receive a book. The book you have is written long after Muhammad, not even by Muhammad. Muhammad never touched it. And then we will find that even the book you have today, recitation of Hafiz, which is not even recitation of Muhammad. Hold on. Muhammad, he never received a book. The Quran confirmed that the Muslims are pagans and the Christian and the Jews are people of the book.
No. What you're saying? No.
Abdul, okay, let me show you. The Quran confirmed that there is only Christians and Jews. They have a book. You Muslims don't have a book.
Give me the verse that says Muslims are pagans.
No problem.
If you say that we collected the book later, then you have.
Okay, here we go. Chapter 3, verse number 20. Read it.
Chapter
3, verse number 20.
Okay, chapter 3, verse 20. It's talking about some surrendering.
What surrendering? It says the Ummi. Muhammad and his followers are Ummiyin, and we are people of the book.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Quran says that we are the only one have a book. That's why we are called. Our title is
only one.
our
Quran doesn't say you are
title.
only.
Our title is the people of the book. The second you say in Islam the people of the book, it's mean Christian and Jews. It doesn't mean Muslims. So you Muslims don't have a book.
We have book here, obviously.
So why the Quran call us people of the book, and he mean only the
No.
Christian and the Jews? Why he don't consider you? Why here it says that you are the ummi, the illiterate?
Let me answer. The fact is that when this verse was revealed, Quran was not compiled as a book, whole book. That's why I said that Quran revealed.
Okay, when hold on. What is the last verse was given to Muhammad?
Last verse, Surah Tawbah maybe, or
Surah Tawbah
maybe,
Surah Tawbah,
or Surah Nas or Falak. I'm not sure.
Okay, what is the last verse saying? Did ever the Quran, including the last verse, ever call you people of the book?
Why Quran should call us people?
So why the Quran call me people of the book then?
Because the Quran is differentiation between the mushriks and when you are unbelievers and the pagans are unbelievers. The Quran is differentiating between the unbelievers carry a book.
That's wonderful. So the mushrik is the one who they are not from the people of the book, correct?
No, mushrik, you are a true mushrik because you do shirk. You
just said that the people of the book, the Quran is differentiating between the people of the book and the mushrikeen. You just said that.
Unbelievers. I said unbeliever. First I said mushrik, but then I corrected the unbeliever.
You corrected yourself. Okay, let me ask you. Hold on. Was Muhammad from the believers or was from the mushrikeen?
Obviously from the believers.
Believe in what? Believe in what?
You just believe in monotheism.
What is the proof? What is the proof? What is the proof that Muhammad he was a believer?
There is one God.
Sorry?
There is only one God, no Trinity.
No. Don't tell me. There's another question. What is the proof that Muhammad was a believer?
What is the proof?
Yes, that Muhammad he was a believer. Believe in what? And where it's proved to us that Muhammad he was a believer?
Prophet believed in the religion of
my friend. Read for me chapter 42 verse number 52.
What does it say?
It says that Muhammad he is not a believer and he never believed in anything.
What?
Muhammad never believed in any true belief. Chapter 42 verse number 52.
Oh, this is talking about the past life of Muhammad. Obviously, yeah.
Okay, so you agree that Muhammad before he announced himself as a prophet, he never believed in anything, right? Correct?
Just like Abraham.
Okay. So, but Muhammad he lived for 40 years as a pagan.
Just like Abraham.
Hold on. Just like Abraham. Are you going to repeat that? So what? So why you Muslim you say to us, lie to us that Muhammad was a believer? I asked you, Muhammad believe in what? You said to me, I asked you just a second ago, Muhammad was a believer or was not a believer? You said he was a believer. Okay. So
yeah, I never said that he was a believer in his childhood.
Okay, so hold on. So you are saying to me that Muhammad was a pagan man for 40 years, correct?
Okay. You disqualify Prophet Muhammad for being
Hold on. I'm not disqualifying him. I'm disqualifying your lies, you Muslim, because you say to us that always Muhammad he believed in Abraham faith.
I did not say that.
Okay.
I did not.
I can show you tons of Muslims saying that.
Tons of Christians.
Okay, now let me ask you the question then. Why in Islam Jesus he is a believer from the first day of his life, but Muhammad is for 40 days a pagan man worshipping and kissing stones?
Because Jesus was the follower of the Mosaic law, the Torah. Jesus was not a new new religion like Abraham. Abraham brought monotheism. Then
okay, hold on. Is Abraham religion is something new?
Yeah, because the people around Abraham were all idol worshippers.
That's a lie, my friend. That's a lie. Hold on. You are the one who said that there was a Christian and Jews there.
At the time of Abraham?
No, in the time of Muhammad. So this is not new. You know, he knew what the faith of Abraham is. Let me ask you, did you hear the debate? Did you hear the debate between David Wood and the guy, his name Muhammad Hijab? And the Muhammad Hijab,
Yeah,
he said that for 4,000 years, not a single Jew break the command. Why he wouldn't break a command, which is that what? It's to worship one God. Do you agree with him?
No, I do not agree with you.
Okay, so he was a donkey in that debate. No problem. Now we continue. As long yes, because he said that, proving that he's a donkey. So when you say to me that Muhammad was not a believer for 40 years, what is the reason for him not to be a believer? You said because he live in a society, all of them, they are mushrikeen, correct?
Because Prophet Muhammad was not from Bani Israel but from Bani Ishmael.
No problem.
Israel,
we will talk about Ishmael. What make Muhammad from Ishmael? Since when?
Since when?
Yeah.
Because he's from the tribe of Ishmael.
What is the tribe of Ishmael?
What is the sons of Ishmael?
What is the tribe of Ishmael? This is funny, my friend. Listen, Ishmael, his father is Aramaic, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. His mother is from where?
Mother Hagar.
Hey, is it what? Is it Egyptian, right?
Egypt.
Okay.
Yeah, Egypt.
How the son is an Arab?
Saudi Arab.
No. How the son is an Arab? The father is Aramaic. The son, the mother is Egyptian. Like you are saying to me, you are Pakistani. You marry a Chinese woman, and your son is German. Right? So how Ishmael the father of the Arab? The Arabs exist. According to your books, Ishmael, he learned Arabic at the age of 11. Some books they say 13. So how he can be the father of the Arab? Secondly, your books confirm that Ishmael, he married from the tribe of Jurham. Jurham is the enemy. Hold on. Jurham is the enemy tribe of Muhammad. It's the enemy. The tribe of Muhammad, they kicked the tribe of Jurham from Mecca. So how he is from Ishmael, even by your own logic, it's funny. Now we go back here. Muhammad was not a messenger for 40 years. Why? He was lost. He believed in stones. He worshipped stones. Why for 40 years Allah did not guide him?
Just like Abraham. You can't see the parallel between Abraham and Muhammad.
So Muhammad is like Abraham, and Abraham, he was worshipping idols.
Joshua, book of Joshua, the last chapter of the book of Joshua, my friend, literally.
I'm asking you, Abraham, he was worshipping idols, right?
Yeah, obviously.
And because Abraham was worshipping idols, Muhammad, he can worship idols too.
No, it doesn't say that Prophet Muhammad worshipped idols.
No, you just said to me he was a pagan for 40 years.
No. He was an unbeliever. He did not believe anything like that's what I'm saying.
He was atheist? He was atheist.
Atheist? No, I didn't.
Communist? Communist?
Like
hippie?
A mystery,
He was hippie.
No, your question was just like that. Why he wasn't monotheistic lineage from Judaism and Christianity? Because we believe that he could not be from Judaism or Christianity because at that time a lot of things were corrupted. So that's why we believe he should have. And obviously, Ishmaelite deserves a prophet. Not all that all came from Israel.
Okay, let me ask you. Does the Quran says before Islam that Muhammad was Hanif?
What does it mean? I don't know.
Huh?
What does it mean? I don't know.
Hanif, it's supposedly, according to your Muslim interpretation, Hanif mean someone he is following Abraham.
Yeah.
Okay. So how it says he was Hanif, but you just said to me that Muhammad he did not believe for 40 years.
Yeah. Prophet was on the path of Abraham. Abraham was an idol worship.
My friend, this is another question. Was Muhammad Hanif before he became a prophet, or he was a pagan person?
No, he was not a pagan person. I do not believe that.
So why it says that he is a Hanif?
He's a Hanif because of his belief, not because the pre-static.
My friend. Do you know what Hanif mean?
No, that's why I'm asking.
Hanif mean kafir actually. Muhammad, he copied the word he do not know. Hanif mean kafir. So Muhammad was a kafir.
No, what? Why?
Well, this is what it says here. Muhammad, he says Ibrahim was Hanif and Muhammad is Hanif and you Muslims are Hanif, but Hanif mean kafir.
How do you know Hanif means kafir?
You can go, you can go and ask anyone who speak Aramaic. They will tell you what Hanif. This is coming from the Aramaic language. Abraham is Aramaic. Hanif. And the funny, Muhammad, he claimed that Abraham, he was Hanif and he was not from the Mushrikeen. So all this,
in that sense that Hanif word is a separation
Okay,
between.
hold on. Okay. In chapter 16, verse number 123, it says that Allah, he inspired Muhammad to follow Abraham, which was Hanif. When Muhammad was inspired to follow Abraham?
When he got revelation.
So before that he was not Hanif, correct?
No.
Okay. When Muhammad was a child, there's two angels and they cut his chest and they clean his chest from the guilt. But he was a pagan person and he was not worshiping God. Why?
No, he was not a pagan person.
So what he was? You see, he is growing in a family. All of them, they are pagan, correct?
No, all of them were not pagan because Khadija and her cousin was Christian.
My friend, so, Khadija is not his family. This is later after he got, he got old, he got married. Focus with me. His family. So, your wife is your wife, not your family until you marry her, right? So Muhammad, he grew up in a family. All of them, they are pagans. Is that correct?
Yeah, but we do not have any source that Prophet Muhammad worshipped their gods.
Well, isn't it even okay? It's mentioned that the Arab, they used to kiss the black stone before Islam.
Yeah.
Okay.
They also use.
Isn't it this is a ritual of the pagan to kiss a black stone? Or this is something new?
Prophet Abraham established this, then the Arabs.
My friend, did the Prophet Abraham establish kissing the stone?
Yeah, and then the Arabs corrupted.
Abraham, he kissed the stone?
Yeah. Obviously.
Can you show me, please? Where you get this from?
From the narrations of Hajj.
Narration of who? Hafs? Where?
He did not. Prophet Abraham did not kiss this stone. He used to.
A second ago, you said so.
No, I made a mistake. I wanted to.
Okay, why your prophet kissed the stone?
Because our prophet Abraham, he standed on that stone and he built an altar.
So Abraham, he put his foot in the top of the stone, and because of that, we worship where Abraham he put his foot.
No, we are not worshiping.
So why you are kissing the stone? Why you are kissing the stone? Why you are kissing the stone?
Act of ibadah.
Huh?
Act of worship.
It's an act of worship. Thank you very much, guys. He said again, many Muslims, they keep saying to us that kissing the stone is an act of worship. How the kissing the stone will be a part of Islam as an act of worship, which means it's part of worship to Allah. So by kissing the stone, you are worshiping Allah, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. How by kissing a stone I'm worshiping Allah? Unless I'm a pagan who believe that the stone is going to intercede for me.
Stone is not. Oh yeah, stone is going to be interested if you kiss, but if you do not kiss, he won't be interested.
Okay, thank you very much, guys. Did he say that the stone will intercede for you?
Yeah, you know the hadith.
Okay, no problem. But this is confirmed that you are a pagan, because the second I say that a stone will intercede for you, that means you are a pagan person, because this is what paganism is about, believing that the stones, they have a duty of forgiveness. By doing an act of worship in front of a stone, the stone will help you to forgive your sin, correct?
If you kiss the stone, then the stone will suck your sin.
Suck your sin. That's wonderful. You know, this is what a sucker. So now the stone is sucking my sin. So why I need Allah? If the stone suck my sin, I hope the stone will not suck something else. So the stone suck my sin. Why I need Allah?
Okay, because Allah is the source of forgiveness of the sins. But if the stone does not have any power, Allah is telling you to kiss the stone, so you will kiss the stone. That's it.
Where Allah he
If
said,
Allah,
where Allah
no,
he said,
then
where Allah he said kiss the stone?
through prophet
Which
said
prophet?
kiss the stone.
Which prophet?
Yeah, you know that hadith. I saw you in a debate with a Muslim. You were quoting that hadith, so you know that hadith, and you also. Then I'm asking the same. You can ask the same, that why you are making a circle 7 times. This is an act of worship too, just like the kissing of the
Yeah,
stone.
but you
But
see,
you cannot.
I have no problem. I have no problem with some ritual you can do. This is not really an issue. But here we have a stone. This is paganism. We have a stone. You pray in front of a stone, you bow down in front of a stone, and you believe a stone is holy, and you kiss the stone, and on top of that you believe that the stone suck your sin, which means this stone is a living stone.
No, God. You
okay,
cannot
is this stone
that
is this stone is dead, or is this stone is dead or alive?
Okay, now if you are showing the dead and alive, then you cannot criticize, because God uses, the Abrahamic God uses objects to bless people, just like stone, just like the snake in the wilderness at the time of Moses. The snake was dead, but when the people of Israelites saw that snake, they were blessed. That was an
My friend, don't mix things up. Don't mix things up. Oh no. First of all, none of the Jews believe that the snake is going to forgive their sin. None of the Jews believe in kissing snakes. Okay, so if let us say, hold on. Jesus, he curses a tree. Are we going to go and throw rocks at the tree as the Muslim they do at the house of Shaitan? This is stupid. Jesus, he blessed somebody. He blessed his disciple. Does that mean they became God? Now we have a stone, and that stone, you said to me, when you kiss that stone, is going to forgive your sin.
No, the stone is not going to forgive. God is going to forgive through the stone, just like
through the stone. Thank you very much, guys.
Snake.
Allah will forgive your sin through the stone. Did you say that?
Same as in wilderness.
My friend, no. That's a metaphorical. This is not, the snake does not bless anyone. God, he blessed. No, there's no snake blessed. That's blessed. And the Bible speak of the snakes as a symbolic of the devil, but it's not the snake itself. Don't mix things up. Now here we have a snake, or we have a stone. We have a stone which is dead and not alive. Hold on. We have. Okay, no problem. But we don't have a creature. Is that a creature? Is the stone as a creature? Is that a stone?
Snake was not a creature.
No, the stone. Is it a creature who can talk to you? Who can do something to you? Who can move around? Was it a creature?
What you're talking about? This is just a heavenly stone, and this is act of worship. Now this is parallel between them.
Let me ask you, did Muhammad he say that the stone is the right hand of Allah?
Oh, I'm not familiar with this hadith.
Well, the hadith says from Ibn Abbas he said the black stone is the right hand of Allah on the ground.
From the Is it from Sihasita? Is it from Sihasita?
From what?
I mean the 6th book, Sahih Bukhari, Muslim, Sunan Ibn Majah.
If it is, you are going to accept it, or you will refuse it. If it is,
if it is, then I'm going to accept. But if it is not, then
so if it's not, okay. So now I have a confirmation from you that anything is from the books of Sahih, the 6th Sahih, you accept, correct?
Yeah, if it's in the chain of Sahih, not in like.
No, the book of Sahih, you told me 6 books, the 6 books, right?
Yeah, but yeah, 99% like okay.
Okay. Now let us say that this hadith is wrong. Let us say, for sake of argument, this hadith is wrong. You confirm to me that when you kiss the stone suck your sin, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. If the stone is not the right hand of Allah, as this hadith from Ibn Abbas says, why the stone is capable of sucking your sin?
Because God gave power, nothing to do
with the stone. To the stone.
nothing to do with the stone. Just like the snake in the wilderness, you have to compare actually. And the main thing is that everyone does not have to kiss the stone, because those who will go to Hajj to do pilgrimage, they have to. And this is not an obligatory that you have to kiss it. You have to kiss it. It's just not for all Muslims. Okay.
Are you done?
Yeah.
Okay. Why Allah, the one who can forgive your sin without a stone, is using the stone, as you said, to forgive your sin?
Just like why God used that snake if He can bless him, the Israelites? Why He
Well, you
used
have
snake?
to read the story. You have to read the story, and you will see we cannot compare between them. They have nothing to compare.
Why? Why not?
Because simply, this is not what happened. Here you have a prophet of God. Here you have a prophet of God coming and kissing a stone and claiming that this is a holy stone. There, did they come and they kiss the stone and they do an act of worship for the snake? Sorry.
If you want to question,
my friend, did they in the story do any act of worship to the snake?
Yeah, there's God said you have to see that.
My friend, no, don't mix things up. Give me a clear answer, please. Did they do any act of worship? I asked you, what is kissing the stone mean for you? You said it's an act of worship, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. That story about the snake, does it have anything to do with act of worship?
Okay. If it is not an act of worship, then they shouldn't make that snake an idol, the snake's idol, because if they did not make that, then God,
my friend, this is, first of all, it was a miracle. It have nothing to do with the snake. It have nothing to do with the snake. It has nothing to do with the snake. It is an act of miraculous by God, and it's not an act of worship. It's a proof that God can do. They challenge him. They ask him, can you do that? Can you do this? And he did. Here we have a prophet who claimed to be a prophet of God, who believe. Hold on. We have a person. No, God. As an example, when Moses he made his snake, his stick became a snake. He was not doing an act of worship. He was showing the power of his God.
Why God commanded to make a stone, a snake-like icon? Why?
My friend, because this is how he can prove the miracle.
Why he can't do this?
My friend, no, he want to show. No, when I show you, okay, here we go. We have a dead man. Make him. Hold on. We have a dead man. Can you make him alive? So we make him alive. We have a. Isn't it your God in the Quran says that the people, they ask the people of Salih, they ask him to make a rock give a birth to a camel?
You have to believe this type of.
My friend, I'm asking you. Don't change the topic. Don't change the topic. Isn't it the people, they ask the guy who you call him Salih? We do not know who is Salih, Prophet Salih. They ask him, can you make a rock give birth to a camel, and the camel is a pregnant with 10-month-old camel?
Yeah.
Okay, so here we go. So people, they ask and they make a challenge. Can you what your God can do? But here we have a stone which you said it's not done to do miraculous work to prove anything, because nobody can prove. Nobody can prove. No, hold on. Nobody can prove anything with what you said to me, that when we kiss the black stone, the stone will suck our sin. Can you prove it?
Then can you prove that snake that Moses built had blessing power, that when people gonna saw that,
my friend,
they were blessed?
My friend, the blessing is the miracle, is not the snake. It is what he does. It is what he does. My friend. Hold on. It's not the snake blessing them. There's no snake bless anyone. When they got the blessing of seeing, hold on, no. I am blessed by seeing a miracle of Jesus. I see in the miracle, which mean
any miracle.
Hold on, no. It doesn't mean I'm not saying that. I'm saying, let's say I was in the time of Jesus. I saw him doing a miracle. This is a blessing for me. I was lucky. So the one who they are blessed by seeing a miracle, they are not saying that thing which happened there is an act of worship. It's an act of miraculous. Here we have a stone. This stone, when you kiss it, is going to suck your sin, and you are the one who confirmed that to me. It is not Allah sucking your sin, it is the stone. And not only that, you Muslims believe that the stone was white. My friend,
act of worship, we mean that we are worshiping God or we are praising God.
Okay, but you as a Muslim, you worship God by kissing stones.
That's the same thing. Okay, then if you do not accept this as act of worship, then what would happen if Moses did not build the snakes?
My friend, did he order them to kiss the stones and the snake, and he told them when you kiss the snake, Allah will God, hold on.
He ordered to look at
look at it, yes, and I will show you what my God can do. Look at it.
Satanic idol.
No, my friend, hold on. Let me ask you: is idol haram in Islam?
What type of idol you're talking?
It doesn't matter. Idol is idol, because here when you say idol, it's mean they worship it. The second you say idol, it's something you worship. Yes or no?
No, it's haram.
Huh?
Yeah, this is haram.
Okay, so is this a stone an idol or not?
No, this stone is not idol.
So what it is?
Just a stone.
So why the stone can forgive your sin?
Stone can't forgive me.
Read with me carefully. Your prophet is saying clearly that whoever touched that black stone and the Yemeni corner, it erased his sin.
Yeah.
Okay, just by touching it. Okay, the stone erased your sin. The stone erased your sin, and you are the one who said to me, when you kiss it, it suck your sin.
This is the miracle of God.
Okay, let me ask you now. As long you are saying it's a miraculous of God, miracles of God, they exist to prove themselves, not to be stay unseen. As an example, when I say that Jesus he resurrected somebody from the grave, if nobody saw that, I mean, what the point? Right? He have to prove it. When I say that Jesus he healed if Jesus says to me, I did heal the blind man, but nobody saw any blind man was healed. Okay, now show me what is the proof that this black stone was white, became a black, because it used to suck your sin. And add to that, you have a guy, his name is Umar ibn Khattab. He got you and your prophet busted, because Umar ibn Khattab, he said, I know that this stone is useless and harmless. Is that correct?
Yeah, I know that.
Okay, so when he said, I know that you are useless and harmless, he was wrong or he was saying the truth?
He was wrong.
He was wrong.
Yeah.
Guys, did you hear this?
Umar was wrong, obviously.
Umar, he got Muhammad busted. This is why now you are saying he was wrong.
So that the same way Peter was wrong when he was arguing.
My friend, no, hold on. You see, Peter is speaking to God. My friend, when you speak to the Messiah is our Lord. So all of us, we are wrong when we talk in front of him. None of us can claim to be right in his presence. None of us. The Messiah, and let me tell you something. You are the one who mentioned Peter, right? Why Muhammad did not rebuke Umar, and he says to him, why you are saying it's useless when I say it is used? Why you say that it is harmless when I say it can harm? Why he did not rebuke him? I will tell you why. Because Muhammad was a coward. He didn't dare to rebuke Umar.
Maybe he waited that he could.
What he waited? The guy, he said clearly that this stone is useless. And you just said to me that, and you just said to me, this is an act of worship, which means this is a major act of worship in Islam when you go to the Kaaba to kiss the black stone, because it's going to suck your sin. So when Umar he say that this is a useless stone, Umar he is simply saying Muhammad is a liar. Why Muhammad did not rebuke him and says to him, shame on you to say that? Correct him, as Jesus he correct anyone around him.
Jesus corrected everyone?
Yes, everybody. Peter, everybody. He corrected people around him, left and right. The Jews, the Pharisees, everybody. He was debating with them, and he was proving even those who follow him that they are wrong.
Jesus did not correct Judas.
My friend, what Judas? You are talking about the one who betrayed him, right?
Yeah, Jesus did not correct.
Isn't it him who told him that he told him that you will do this to me?
No.
What do you mean? Didn't he predict? Didn't he predict? Didn't he predict that a person in front of us here with us, he is the first one who would do this act. He is the first one to give you up.
He's predicting. He's
my friend, because he knew what he will do. He knew what kind of a person he is. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. Now listen. Don't you keep changing the topic. Right? Listen. No, Jesus, he corrected everybody. As an example, the Jews, he said to the Jews, what do you say of the Messiah? They said he is the son of David. He is the son of David. Okay, those are rabbis. He said to them, how he is the son of David, but yet David, he called him my Lord in the spirit. So Jesus correct everybody. Even the Bible speak about Jesus when he going to the synagogue when he was just young. He was speaking to the rabbi and debating them. So yes, he was correcting everybody. Here you have your prophet, and you have a major companion. You have a major companion. Hold on, you have a major companion. His name is Umar al-Khattab. Getting your prophet busted and getting all the Muslim busted. That they are nothing but pagans doing an act of paganism.
He just made a mistake, simple mistake.
Where is the correction for the mistake? Let us say, I'm going with you, no problem. If Umar did the mistake, why none of the Muslims corrected him?
Maybe Muslims, obviously because Prophet waited him to be repented after he died.
He was waiting for repentance, so he was waiting for Umar to mislead them and misguide them and say to them something wrong, but Muhammad didn't dare to speak about it.
And that's it.
Do you see how dangerous what you are saying? You are saying that the act of worship, which you call the kissing of the stone, Umar is saying it is not an act of worship, and Muhammad he don't dare, and he don't, he was waiting for Umar to repent. So why he is a prophet of God? He came to warn people about wrong and right.
Just like Jesus and Judas, Jesus did not rebuke him, corrected him. Jesus just
corrected him in what? Corrected him on what?
Just do not betray.
My friend, this is an act he will do, nothing to correct him with, because he will betray him. That's it. He knew who's he. Correct him about what? So no. You see, you are fabricating things now, have nothing to do with our topic. This is a guy getting your prophet busted, and this is a stone. And everybody who believe, have a little brain, he should believe that this stone cannot really be the one who suck your sin. Let me ask you. Did your prophet say that the black stone was white and became black?
Moses also said that snake can. If you look at the snake,
my friend, yes, Moses, he said, look at the snake, proving the power of God, not the snake. Why
God uses a satanic
Jesus said, let me give you an example. Jesus said, look, if you believe in a rock, you will be recovered. It's about faith. This is a metaphorical of faith. How much faith you have, how much you can be recovered. It's faith. Hold on. Here is not about faith. Here is about an act of worship, that this stone, by kissing it, is going to suck literally your sin. Is not having faith in a stone. When Jesus says, if you have a faith in the stone, is he asking us to worship a stone? Is he talking about a stone? No, it's a metaphorical of faith. So if you have faith, your faith will recover you. If you have faith, your belief will help you. Now here we have Muslims. Hold on. We have Muslims who believe that a stone will suck their sin, not faith in a stone. The stone literally will suck.
Not faith in Allah that He will.
But who is going to suck your sin? Is it the stone or Allah?
Just like the snake on the wilderness.
No, this is a lie. It doesn't say it's going to suck anything. Stop lying. You are being a liar.
You do not have to be the simple explicit term.
My friend, no, it have to be. It have to say that. It have to be there. You are the one who said to me, by kissing the stone, it suck your sin. So how you can compare it to that snake? You're stuck with that snake because you have no refugee. And here Umar al-Khattab is getting your prophet busted. You Muslims are nothing but pagans, kissing stones, worshiping stones, doing it as an act of worship to God. How you can do an act of worship to God? How you can do an act of worship to God by kissing a stone? And why the stone was white and became black? Since when black is the color of sin, which transform from very white to very black, because it's sucking sin. That's mean you believe that the stone is a living creature.
Okay, then if you have problem that God cannot use a stone to provide his forgiveness.
First of all, Abdul, first of all, you never provide me anywhere where it says that your God, he said to you to kiss the stone. Can you?
Prophet said so.
No, where your prophet said that? Can you show me where your prophet said that God told me to kiss the stone?
You do not. We believe the secondary revelation. What
my friend, don't play games. Where your prophet said that my God told me that we should kiss the stone?
Prophet, you just quote. It is in your. You just quoted from the hadith. You literally gave the hadith. That prophet.
Thank you very much. The hadith is saying what? Say it.
That the stone can erase sins if you kiss.
Okay, hold on. And what about the hadith? Muhammad said that the stone is the right hand of Allah.
It is not from Siha Sitta.
It's not from what?
Siha Sitta. That you are quoting Ibn Abbas.
Okay, hold on. So the stone erase your sin.
Yeah.
But it's not the right hand of Allah.
Stone doesn't erase the Allah.
No, my friend, it does erase. No, it does erase. Read with me carefully. Muhammad, he did not mention anything about Allah will erase. Muhammad, he said it clearly. My friend, here, read with me hadith, please. I'm not adding words. I am not taking off words. This is your Muslim translation in front of you. It was narrated from Abdullah ibn Ubayd Umair. It says, "Oh Abu Abdul Rahman, why do I only see you touching these two corners, which mean the corner of the black stone and the Yemeni corner?" He said, "I heard the messenger of Allah say, touch them erases sin." Where is Allah?
Okay, then if you want to take this literally, that word for word, you cannot take it out of context or whatever. But you are
my friend, you tell me, this is literally or not? We said touch them is something physical.
Okay, then if you see this as a contradiction where I say that Allah erases sins, not that stone, but you're saying
no problem. You are the one who said to me, my friend, you are the one who said to me, if you remember, that the black stone suck your sin. Did you say that?
I did not say that this is the power of the stone.
No problem. Okay, no problem. But you are the one who said the stone itself, not Allah, is the one who suck your sin, which means the one who cleans you. What suck mean? Isn't it cleansing from sin?
Yeah.
Okay. So who is the one who do the act of a cleansing? Who is the one who's doing the act of a cleansing? You said to me that the stone is going to suck your sin, which means the act of a cleansing of sin is done by the stone.
From Allah, power from Allah.
No problem. So Allah, he put a vacuum machine in the ground. It's called the black stone. And if you touch it or kiss it, the black stone will suck your sin. Is that your understanding?
You can't mock like that, but how black stone will suck your sin? Like why God is using a stone? I repeated the same story in the wilderness of Moses. Why
that's
God
false.
used
That's false, my friend. That's false. I repeated to you, and I told you what Jesus even said. If you have a faith in a stone, you will be recovered. So he's not asking us to worship a stone or to kiss a stone. There's no kissing, there's no touching. You know, if you have faith in God, here we go. I'm going to show you the miracle. The same as he did to the Egyptian about what he can do with his stick. Don't compare. Be honest. Here you are saying that the stone, you kiss it, it suck your sin automatically.
You have to enlighten our tradition with the Judeo-Christian tradition, because you can't say that God can't use a stone or a thing, because in Exodus chapter 25 you can see the altar is building, then the cherubim, the two statue of angels, Jews that God commanded. So this type of things
and they worship idols, right? And they were worshiping stones and worshiping idols, right?
According to your logic.
No, you see, no, this is my logic. This is, you're lying now. You're lying. And when Umar ibn Khattab, he got you busted.
How?
Okay, now let me ask you. The stone was white. Let's focus on this one. The stone was white. Why it turned black?
For sins.
Why? From sin.
For sin.
So
You know that.
you as a Muslim saying you believe that a person, if he have no sin, should be white. A person he became a black, is sin make him black.
Sin make not a person black. If stone, sin make that stone black.
Book or what are different? I mean, what make the color black come to exist in the stone? It is the sin, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Why? Why the sin make it black?
Because it make black. Because black, in an I mean eternal sense, represent evil. Just like you quoted the hadith, there will be angels will be black at grave, right?
But sin, but here the stone is transforming color. Does that mean it's getting dirty?
Yeah.
Getting dirty. Okay. So sin is something physical, make you dirty physically.
Not a person. In case this is the miracle, you need the that was a white stone that became a black stone. That
is the white.
Islam
If there is any proof that the stone was white and it became a black, or this is just a fiction, stupid story?
Is there any proof that Moses split the Red Sea?
Yeah, there's witnesses. There's even books of history speak about it. Even the Sabian who hate the Jews to death, they speak about that and they confirm it.
No.
What? No.
You know.
I'm asking you. Where Muhammad he got this story? Isn't it this is a pagan story? Exists before Muhammad, and Muhammad he do just the same as every pagan Arab does, kissing the stone, believe in a stone. And let me ask you, why the stone look like in the shape of a vagina?
Oh, okay. This one is okay. Now we believe that God sent many prophets.
What prophets?
We believe that. Okay, many prophets. I heard 1 million in a hadith. But 4 major prophets with 4 books, but many prophets. So we believe that some truths are hidden in Hinduism. Okay, so we may be this is just an ordinary interpretation that Hindus believe the God created. God is a male figure like penis. Hindus worship a penis of Shiva. So
why you are taking me there? I'm asking a specific question. Why you are taking me to talk about the Hindus and the Buddhas? I mean, by the way, your prophet is sound like you're convinced that your prophet he is taking the black stone from the Hindus, right? Is that the penis? No, I am asking you. I'm asking you why the black stone look in the shape of a vagina.
Because this is from one type of revelation that people before us, Jews, Christian, Muslims, or Zoroastrians, they believe that God, the universe had a sex between the Shivlinga and the universe. Yoni, from Yoni, the word Yoni to Joni. Joni in the Sanskrit and Bangla, but in English it's vagina. So this is type of thing. Like,
let me ask you: is it true? Is it true that the Arab before Islam, women they used to go, and men, and they used to place their hand over their vagina, and they touched the black stone, and this is why it became black?
No, I'm not familiar about that.
What if this is true?
If this is true, we don't care because Prophet purified this whole thing.
No, you see, you said to me that the black stone became black because of sin, correct?
Yeah, because of the people.
But the books, the Muslim books confirm different story. Read with me carefully. It says, this is the story about Adam. I don't know if somebody can find it for us in English. Allah, he told Adam, I send down to you what you can go around as the same as you go around my throne. So Adam, he went down to India, and here we notice the connection between the Hinduism and Islam. Muslim believe that Adam was Indian. He came in India literally. So he was
in not India, but in Nepal.
No.
Yeah, in Indian region.
It's
We
India,
believe in
India.
India.
This is what it says in front of
Yeah.
me. It says Al-Hind. So I go by what the text says.
Okay, no problem.
So he went there walking, and then the angels were waiting for him. And the angels, they said to him, blessed is your pilgrimage, Adam. We did visit this house before you, 2,000 years before you. And Adam, he did visit the Kaaba, do Hajj 40 times. Or every time he go from the land of India all the way to Mecca on his feet. You said he was from Nepal, right?
Nepal, Al-Hindia, on that region.
Okay, is it possible? Is it possible to go? Is it possible to go from there by feet from Nepal? I will let it go. Let it go. Think about it. Go and look at the map. And then he says, and he keep doing that until Allah, he took him in the day of the Tufan, which means the day of Noah, the flood of Noah, to the fourth heaven. And he was kept on the Baytul Ma'mur, the house which is built by Allah. Then Allah, okay, he ordered Ibrahim to build this house.
Yeah.
And then Gabriel, he taught Abraham the location of the place, because the flood of Noah destroyed everything. Yeah. And then it says that Allah, he sent a cloud, kept him in shade, and the shade of this cloud never increase and never decrease. Very weird, a miracle, a miracle. And then it says, let us continue here. And Gabriel, he came with the black stone from the sky, and it says that the mountain of Abu Qubais, which is the mountain next to Mecca, was holding the black stone and give it delivery, which means during it says here فَانْشَقَّ عَنْهُ وَقَدْ خُبِّئَ فِيهِ أَيَّامَ الطُّوفَانِ. So the mount of Bani Qubais, which is a very close mountain to the Kaaba, swallow the black stone and hide it until the flood is gone, and then deliver it again like a woman delivering a baby. And it was وَكَانَ يَاقُوتَةً بَيْضَاءَ مِنَ الْجَنَّةِ, and it was a pearl from heaven, pearl, not a stone. But when, look what it says, فَلَمَّا لَمَسَتْهُ الْحَيْضُ فِي الْجَاهِلِيَّةِ اسْوَدَ. When the blood of women from haid, from menses in the Jahiliyyah touch it, it became black. Your comment?
Comment that was also a sin.
But it says here, okay, hold on.
Pagan.
Why the women blood from their vagina is in the stone? What is the practice they are practicing? What is the practice?
This is a pagan practice. They corrupted it.
Okay, what is the practice there? And you see, the women, you said to me that the sin make it black, correct?
Yeah, this is a
okay.
sin.
What is the sin we are talking about? Is the women blood from period?
Yeah.
Okay, you believe in that?
I do not believe that the period is a sin.
So why the period of women make it black?
Because she was in unclean level. You know from the Bible also that talks about menstruation.
No, okay, this is a different story. This is a stone Allah he sent, and he made it white, like it says a pearl, literally a pearl. It's not a stone. And women, the question here, my friend, listen carefully. I give you a lot of time. There's people trying to call, and I'm not giving them time to talk. Listen, women, they touch their private part when they have blood, and they put their hand in the black stone. Why?
Because it's a pagan practice.
It's a pagan practice. Thank you very much. Is that because they believe that this stone is going to fertilize their vagina?
Maybe.
Okay, thank you very much, guys. Did you hear it? Did you hear it? Did you hear it? The black stone. If you are a woman, you want to get pregnant, you go to the Kaaba when you have your period. You put your hand over your vagina.
Obviously, they were pagans. And they
the blood in your hand, and then you put it in the black stone, and that will make you fertilize. This is exactly what I'm saying to you, my friend. I just to prove it to you from your books that the Arab and you Muslims are no different. You believe in the god of fertility. The black stone is the fertilizer. This is a stone. This is a stone. This is why this is why it have a shape of a vagina. This is why the stone. I asked you why the stone have a shape of a vagina. You could not answer, correct? Do you know why?
I answered.
No. I'm saying to you why it has a shape of a vagina. Do you have an answer?
Yeah, I agree with you that yeah, this is a shape of vagina. Right.
Why?
Because in Vedic theology, in the Vedas, it talks about the male part of God had sex with the female part of God.
Okay, so in somehow you're agreeing that Muhammad obviously is copying from the Hindu. Something have to do with the Hindu.
That's why I said that some truths are lying in Hinduism and Buddhism.
Okay, some truth line in the Hinduism. So you agree that this black stone is a fertility stone.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, I'm done with you, my friend.
Yeah,
Thank you for calling. Thank you for calling. That's it.